How good is the camera on the OnePlus 5T? I took a ton of photos with the Pixel 2 XL. Let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, before I begin, I'm referring to Pixel 2 as in Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL. They both have the same cameras, so don't mind me calling the Pixel 2 either Pixel 2 or Pixel 2 XL. They both have the same camera, so the results should be the same. Hi guys, so I've got OnePlus 5T on the left and Pixel 2 on the right. Looking at this photo, you can clearly see a much better dynamic range with the Pixel 2. Now, going ahead, zooming in to the clouds, you could see that the Pixel 2 picks up a lot more details in the skies and slightly sharper with a lot more details, especially in the middle here. You could also see here, it's a lot brighter with the Pixel 2. Of course, there is more noise with the Pixel 2, but zooming out, I mean, you can clearly tell the Pixel 2 photo is a lot better. Now, this is all at sunset. Sun has just set. Here's another example where the Pixel 2 really excels. The details in the skies. Half of this photo is bright and half of this photo is very dark. So this is a very good test of how well each of these phones process darks and lights. And this is where Pixel 2 shines. But I've tested many phones and OnePlus 5T is actually not that bad. I mean, it keeps up pretty good. Now, as these photos go on, the sun has set and it's getting darker and darker. All right, let me go ahead and zoom in here. And as it gets darker, what it seems like is that the 5T has trouble. So it sort of blurs out. If there's noise, it sort of blurs out everything. So you lose all the details. Zooming out, it looks okay. Alright, it doesn't look bad, but zooming in, you can see you lose a lot of detail with the OnePlus 5T. Now, there's another reason why this happens in low light, because the 5T has no stabilization of any sort, while Pixel 2 uses EIS and OIS. And as it gets darker, you clearly see the advantages of the Pixel 2. This is not necessarily the camera, this is more like optical stabilization that's helping Pixel 2 also. And in certain situations, OnePlus 5T didn't do bad either. Like in this one, almost nearly identical. I would actually give this win to the 5T. You could see a lot more details here. Alright, it's not a bad camera at all. And here's another example where both phones did fairly well, I would say. Alright, both photos look pretty good. Pixel 2 is a little bit brighter, but you could see not a whole lot of difference. So it really depends on the conditions. I mean, overall, you're gonna probably get better photos with Pixel 2 9 out of 10 times, whereas the 5T, sometimes it can be a hit and miss, but it's not bad at all. I'm actually pretty surprised. So here's a good example. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this photo inside a photo. Alright, you can see much more details, clarity with the Pixel 2. You can actually see some of this tree while it gets very, very dark here. Okay, here's another photo. Now, one thing I've noticed is that, like in this photo, the colors are actually more accurate on the 5T. The Pixel 2 has a tendency to make everything a little bit warmer. This is another example, but the correct colors should be this one here. Alright, in this photo, both did pretty well, I think. Alright, again, slightly clear with the Pixel 2. But if you zoom out, you're not going to notice a ton of difference. I'm actually really surprised how well the OnePlus 5T did. Okay, here's another photo, slightly brighter with the Pixel 2, but not bad at all with the 5T. And this is like very dark. The 5T actually shows the true colors and the darkness, while the Pixel 2 really brings out the darks. So I actually prefer the colors of the 5T in most of the time, but you could see here it's losing details while the Pixel 2 is picking up very good details there. Retaining details. Okay, let's take a look at this example. And you can see when you zoom in, you lose some details with the 5T. But I think that's what they intended, because when it gets low light, they have the choice to leave the noise on or try to clean the noise. So I think what Pixel 5T is doing is sort of cleaning up the noise. So you lose the details, but if you zoom out, the photo is clear. So, but zooming out, not a ton of difference between the two photos. Okay, here's another photo in low light. You can see some of the letters here while you just completely miss out, and also the shadows are just disappeared, whereas Pixel 2 picks it up. Alright, let me go ahead and zoom in on this moon here. And this is pretty much complete darkness. And you can see the 5T having trouble with the color of the sky, sort of added noise of something like pinkish, bluish, while Pixel 2 does a better job of cleaning up the noise. Again, this has everything to do with image stabilization because the 5T does not have image stabilization, and you can see clearly a lot more noise with the 5T here. Alright, taking a look at this photo, both phones not too bad. Again, slightly less noise, slightly more details with the Pixel 2. And here's another photo. You can see the Pixel 2 really picks up the details of the top here, whereas the 5T completely loses the shadows. Now you may be able to bring this up, but zooming out overall, it's not that bad. 5T is actually pretty good. I'm actually really impressed. Okay, here's another dark scene. In this photo, not too bad. The 5T did pretty good. Look at the exposure. One of the highlights of the Pixel 2 is that it can expose these lights very well. And you can actually see here, the 5T actually exposed them better. Okay, so surprising result there. I would have to give the win to the 5T in this one. So there are times where the 5T will outperform the Pixel 2. So that kind of surprised me. Now, when it comes to having actual subject in your photo, this is where the biggest change comes, I think. And if I zoom in on my daughter here, the 3T is basically using higher ISO. Let me go ahead and show you. So because of image stabilization on Pixel 2 is so excellent, it's able to get 1 or 2 extra stops. This one taken at f1.8, f1.7. You can see the Pixel 2 using only ISO 682 versus ISO 2000. For those of you who don't know, the lower the ISO, the less noise you'll pick up in general. So you could see here, the OnePlus has to expose at much slower shutter speed and also at much higher ISO, which means it's gonna get slightly blurry. Now, most of this also is caused by some of the shakes in the OnePlus 5T. It has no stabilization of any sort. That's the problem with it. But not bad. For not having stabilization, it's a very, very awesome camera. In this photo, slightly more clear with the Pixel 2, but not too much difference. Pixel 2 is actually just brighter. Both photos look actually not bad, and considering the exposure of the lights, OnePlus 5T actually really keeps up in being able to expose the lights correctly. Okay, here's another shot, and you could see here that OnePlus 5T slightly blurry versus Pixel 2, looking much sharper overall, and it even gets this sign right with the blue, where sort of 5T loses it here. But let's go ahead and take a look at the properties here again, which is sort of important. And you'll probably notice much lower ISO. So ISO 4000 versus ISO 400. Alright, I mean, you simply cannot compete against that. This is the reason why having good OIS and EIS, optical stabilization, and electronic stabilization is very important, especially for photos. You're going to be able to use much lower ISO and get much cleaner photos. And here's another example of my daughter. Ooh, very, very dark versus, you can actually pick up the details of the face. Okay, here's a parking lot in pretty much complete darkness. And again, as it gets darker, the Pixel 2 really performs better. Again, this becomes a battle of stabilization rather than having a better camera. If OnePlus 5T had any kind of optical OIS or even EIS, I think it would do, you know, a lot better. But not bad at all. It actually exposed lights pretty good with the 5T. It's just a little shaky and noisy, but I mean, zooming out, I'm actually pretty impressed with the 5T. Alright, here's a sidewalk in San Francisco. In this photo, I would say some parts of the photo is a lot cleaner with the Pixel 2, such as this parking garage sign. But if you look up close to these lights here, you can see the Pixel 2 sort of picking up a lot of noise, whereas the 5T sort of processes and gets rid of noise. So there are times where 5T can do just as well as or better than the Pixel 2. And here is photo of the City Hall, and I would actually give the true colors to the 5T. This is actually the true colors. I don't know why the Pixel 2 makes everything warm. You can see the Pixel 2 does pick up more of the details. It controls the overexposed lights a lot better, so you get more details. But comparing these two at the top, I would actually have to give more details to the 5T. 5T did really well in this particular photo. Also, most importantly, the colors. Alright, I feel like the colors are much better with the 5T. So not bad at all. I mean, we're talking the best smartphone of the year, the Pixel 2 versus 5T, supposedly a flagship phone at budget prices. Alright, here's another photo in complete darkness. Lack of OIS really hurts the OnePlus 5T. As you can see, very blurry, little too much exposed here. And then this is inside a bar, very low light conditions. And zooming in, I mean, I can really read the details of the liquor bottles here. Whereas 5T, I can't. Now, this is another reason why the 5T loses, because it doesn't have OIS and it must use much higher ISO, bringing a lot more noise. Alright, in this next photo, this is a test I did with the Note 8, LG V30, where none of them could expose these lights correctly. These neon lights are like literally very hard on cameras. But this is a very good test. After doing this test, I knew the 5T actually kept up with the Pixel 2 very well. Look at this. I mean, the Pixel 2 is slightly better. Zooming out, I mean, I'm damn impressed with the 5T camera. In terms of being able to overexpose areas, the 5T does a lot better. Actually, it might be better than, you know, Note 8 and the V30. And then here's another photo where the 5T did better than Pixel 2 in my opinion. You can see a lot cleaner photo out of the 5T. Of course, it's cleaning up its noise, whereas the Pixel 2, you get more details at the cost of more noise. But if you zoom out, I would actually have to give this win for more realistic lights, whereas Pixel 2 sort of makes everything brighter than it really is. And look at the light exposures. It is actually better now on the 5T. Look at this Motel 6 sign. Wow, it actually exposes the lights better. So the 5T is not all that bad. I mean, the second low light camera does a hell of a job of exposing the lights correctly, which something traditionally Pixel phones have been the best at. Now, both phones have portrait mode, and this is with the back camera for both. And good thing with 5T, in portrait mode, it doesn't actually zoom in a lot, so you can actually get a lot wider view, whereas the Pixel 2 really zooms in and crops out, so you can't use a lot of the photo. A lot more bokeh here, but zooming into the 5T photo, the bokeh is actually, I would say, about the same. Alright, it's just a wider view. And also, it's a lot cleaner. You can see the background, a little bit noisy here, but a lot cleaner. So, actually, for the back camera, portrait mode, I would say is better on the 5T. And especially the colors. This is the real colors. The Pixel 2 makes everything very pale for some reason in this photo. But in this photo, we did the exact opposite. So the Pixel 2 is slightly washed out, whereas the 5T got very yellow. Again, here you could see with the 5T, you can get much wider view. Because there's two cameras, it's able to give you portrait mode without cropping in. Whereas the Pixel 2, there's only one camera, so they really gotta crop out the photo. So to compare these two photos, I'm gonna have to zoom in on the 5T to give you the real difference. But here, more bokeh with the Pixel 2. Considering this is much wider view, this is not bad for 5T. Now, one of the advantages with the 5T you will get is that you can be much closer to your subject and get a portrait mode. Whereas the Pixel 2, you're gonna have to step back a little bit to get the same photo. Now, I wanna show you what the effects of having good OIS is. So this is what I notice when I take photos with the Pixel 2. Let me go ahead and zoom in there. I'm holding my phone as still as possible, and you can see the shakes, and that becomes a problem in low light. Even with the best low sensor camera, if things are very shaky, obviously the camera is not going to be able to use lower ISO. Let me compare that with the Pixel 2 XL. You could see the EIS and the OIS much more stable with that EIS and OIS, which is going to help in low light. Now, after trying these two phones, I'm actually really impressed with the 5T. It's actually not that bad. In certain situations, the 5T can also get very good photos, just like the Pixel 2. Now, one thing I noticed with the 5T, based on my experience comparing with, you know, flagship phones like Note 8 and LG V30, it actually exposes the lights much better in low light. So I'm really impressed with that. Like I said, only thing missing with the 5T is because it has no OIS or EIS, no stabilizations of any sort, and that's what's hurting its low light photos at times. Now, sometimes you get lucky and you hold the phone still enough, then you will get very, very good photos. But anytime you get any kind of shake, you get some noise, blurriness with the 5T. I mean, I could rate the camera. It's up there in top 5. It could be just as good as Note 8 or maybe even better. I would say it's either number 2 or 3, right behind the Pixel 2. Now, these are just my opinions. What do you guys think? I will have the photos available for download on my site, so go ahead and check them out yourself. Check the shutter speed and the ISO, and you will find that OIS and EIS really helps with the Pixel 2 along with its HDR mode, whereas the 5T does really well, and I think just having no OIS hurts it. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, Instagram, Periscope, and as always, stay on Android.
Click here to subscribe.